Hello and welcome to lesson 1.3 adaptations. Today we're going to be talking about those adaptations that actually help organisms survive. All right, so what is an adaptation? These are adjustments of organisms to their environment in order to improve their chances of survival in that environment. Um, it's important to note that they happen naturally over time and not due to an organism choosing to change. Okay. Just because an environment changes, an organism can't say, ooh, now that there's more green leaves, I think I'm going to turn green. Okay. It doesn't work like that. All right, there are different types of adaptations. There are behavioral adaptations. These are the things that organisms do, okay? Behavior, they're things they do to help them stay alive. We've got structural adaptations, which are physical features that give the organism an advantage in their environment. And then physiological adaptations, these are processes of the organism to maintain homeostasis or provide protection. I like to think of the physiological ones as like the chemical reactions, because that's kind of hard to understand what physiological means. All right, so there are two different types of behaviors when we talk about behavioral adaptations, okay? There are innate behaviors. These are genetically hardwired into an organism and can be performed in response to cue without prior experience. Instincts are a type of innate behavior, they just happen like that. Okay. Web building in spiders and nest making in birds are great examples. Then we have learned behaviors. These are ones that an organism develops as a result of experience. Manners, okay, reading, a dog sitting when you get out a biscuit. Okay, all of these are learned behaviors. All right, we're going to go through some of the different types of adaptations. You can list these down in the T chart in your notes as we go, kind of put them on either the structural or behavioral side where you think they belong. All right, so first up, we've got mimicry. So this is an adaptation in which one animal evolves to look like another animal. They use this to avoid predators. More than likely, the second one that tries to look like the first one, that first one is poisonous or dangerous or something. So then predators learn to avoid that first one. And with the second one kind of looking like that, they then start to avoid the second one. So, one big example is the coral snake and the king snake. If you notice down here, they both have similar color patterns. They've got black, yellow, and red. Um, Predators aren't going to stop to see like the exact pattern of the colors. They're just going to notice this general pattern and nope out of there real quick. Okay. By the way, the coral snake is the deadly one. The king snake is non-poisonous. All right, then we've got camouflage. This is an adaptation that helps an organism blend in with its surroundings. It helps them avoid predators and increases their ability to survive. Hibernation. When an animal goes into deep sleep, the heartbeat and breathing slows down, the body cools down, and they don't eat or drink. They do this due to a lack of available food in the winter. We are most commonly aware of bears hibernating, but also animals like turtles, chipmunks, woodchucks, frogs, and snakes will also do this. All right, estivation is very similar to hibernation. It's a state of animal dormancy where this one takes place in the summer instead of in the winter. Usually, this is done by our kind of cold blooded friends. Um, so, when the temperature gets really hot outside, they can't kind of handle it and stabilize their own temperature. So, they go into these dormant conditions to kind of avoid overheating. So, crocodiles, salamanders, cane toads are examples of organisms that will go into estivation. Blubber. Okay, this is a thick layer of fat under the skin of marine mammals such as seals, whales, and walruses. As we will learn in our next unit, blubber or fat is also known as lipids, and these are super important in storing energy and insulation of heat. An added bonus in blubber is that it increases the buoyancy, which means it helps them float a little bit more so they don't sink right away. Migration, this is when birds move from areas of low or decreasing resources to areas of high or increasing resources. Two primary resources being food and nesting locations. Here in the Wake County area, we typically see the migration of the geese. They come in, I want to say in the spring, summer, where they have their offspring, and then they'll move back up north in the winter. All right, webbed feet. This is when you've got a triangular webbed foot that is perfect for propelling a bird or other creature through the water. The toes and webs spread out, and as the bird pushes, it kind of propels them forward. And then when the bird pulls the foot forward, the toes actually fold back together, allowing for minimal resistance. That way, it is not slowing them down. So that's really cool. Imprinting. This is a form of learned behavior in which an animal gains its sense of species identification. Birds typically do imprinting, so when a baby duck hatches, the first animal that it sees, it identifies as its mother. There are cases of rescue situations where baby ducks or baby geese are hatched by a person, a human, and they'll imprint on that human and think that human is their mother. They'll follow it around and do all the behaviors as if that human were their parent. All right, spores are reproductive cells that are capable of developing into new individuals without fusion or another reproductive cell. So it's very simple reproduction. Ferns, mosses, liverworts, and green algae all release spores. So what happens is they release these little spores. I like to think of them kind of like pollen. In what the way they look and act. So they get released, they spread out, and then when they kind of get into favorable conditions, they'll actually start to grow into a plant. That's where they're different from pollen. Pollen actually has to mix with something else to become a plant. These guys can just grow by themselves, which is really neat. All right, and that is the end of our examples today. Make sure you go to Canvas, work on the assignments for 1.3, and we'll see you next time.